Welcome back to the Demon Tweeks channel. We're here at Goodwood with Axel, one of the drifters, doing some demonstrations out on track today. We thought it'd be a good opportunity to understand the anatomy of a drift car. Over to you, Axel. Show me around.
Cool. So if we start here from the front, obviously the most important thing with a drift car is steering angle. So we're running modified hubs, suspension, and steering, and that's how you can run the big angles at drifting, or you'd spin. Apart from that, obviously you need a crazy amount of power to break traction of the sticky tyres that we run.
So what are we looking at then?
Yeah, so this is a Nissan Skyline engine. It's called a RB25. So standard these would make about 300 horsepower. It's got bigger turbos, cams, it's a built bottom end. We're pushing about 700 horsepower.
Amazing.
So yeah, that allows you to then break the traction on the rear tyres by either clutch kicking, pulling the handbrake, or weight transfer, and then you're in the drift basically. The other modifications that I guess we would have, which is different from a track car, is that we have the radiator in the rear of the car.
Okay.
So the reason for that is these cars running relatively slow speeds compared to the track cars, but the engines are running at the same kind of like on the limiter in high gear. Yeah. So you're getting not much cooling coming from the front, but a lot of heat being generated. So, and also you're going sideways as well, so the air doesn't hit the radiator in the front. So you put it in the back with electric water pump and bigger fans. It also helps then to put the weight distribution to get more grip at the back as well.
So do you weigh the car? Do you know what it weighs?
Yeah, it's rough. So weight-wise, it's about 1,200 kilos.
Okay.
Yeah, so power to weight is pretty decent. The next important part is the rear of the car.
All right, let's go around.
Yeah, we can go around. So this car has got a rear end from a GTR Skyline. So that's the diff and the shafts. That's essentially the strongest OEM parts that you can get, and that's relatively straight on bolt-on fit into a Nissan 200SX without any modifications. And that is LSD, which locks very easily. Other people run a welded diff, especially people getting into drifting. You can simply buy any rear-wheel drive car, weld the diff, and then you can do a skid.
So it's essentially cheating.
Yeah, I guess it makes it. It's just partly have to. They have to be. If you need to rely on the wheels to be able to lock under power at the same time. Yeah. Otherwise, it just becomes too sketchy. Yeah. The rest of the car, it's all pretty much fiberglass on the bumpers. They end up taking quite a lot of hits on this part in particular.
So is that hence the easy on, easy off?
Exactly. Yeah. You need to. Yeah. It's kind of designed so if you do hit against a wall or something, it'll come off. Instead of dragging the car into it, it'll fly off, and then you can put a new one on, because that's relatively inexpensive, whereas catching it back and smashing the front of the car, expensive.
And I'm guessing this end is almost solid in terms of suspension and shock absorbers, because I can see that you've not got much clearance going on.
Yeah, so we're running pretty tight fitment on that, mainly because to make it look cool. But yeah, it's all rose jointed, solid mounted on the rear end. But it does actually squat quite a lot. So under full acceleration coming out a corner, the rear of the side skirts will actually, and you can see on the back bumper, that will squat and actually hit. And amazingly, it doesn't actually rub like that, believe it or not. And what we're running here as well, we're running tyres you can see here, Zestino tyres. Contrary to what most people think, we actually need quite a grippy tyre for drifting.
Okay.
It used to be a case you'd run on something, part ones even, anything cheap that you could get to allow yourself to break traction. But in the competition, it's almost like a drag race. You're trying to drive away from your component in the battle. So you need that grip, and also to be able to control the car when you're coming in really fast, to slow it down with the handbrake. The tyre starts to crash essentially. So we're using essentially the same as a track tyre for a track day. 265, 35, 18, so kind of size you would fit on like an M3 on track day. And
but I assume you're using them a lot more than a track day car.
Yeah, sure. So this is a good example here. We did 2 laps and a couple of donuts, and it's gone from 8mm to nothing in
Wow.
2 laps of the circuit, and not even drifting all of it. So,
No, okay.
So we would go through, typically on a drift weekend, anywhere from like 10 to 20 tyres on the rear of the car. At other competitions, you'll have a tyre changing machine like you would at normal. We don't balance the wheels or anything like that because
it doesn't really matter.
No. You got vibrations from other stuff to worry about, and they don't last long enough to warrant it.
Fair
you know
enough.
what I mean?
Can we have a little look inside?
It's everything you'd have in a normal race car. As far as safety things like a fire extinguisher, race batteries. I've got a sequential gearbox in this. It's a Quave 69G, mainly to just because it's strong. As you start adding more grip in the car through the tyres, that's the weakest link in either the diff or the gearbox. And after blowing up a couple of OEM units, it's just a better way to go. Spend the money, buy it proper, and then don't worry so much about it. Hydraulic handbrake, much like in a rally car. That's also crucial to drifting. Apart from that, it's all pretty much standard race car stuff.
Yeah.
Simple switches on off, digital gauge, not too many distractions, and then that's about it.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wait for them to go past.
Yeah, those Formula 1 cars allowed.
So I guess one other thing that anyone that doesn't know drifting and sort of sees it, I think everyone thinks, okay, this is cool. You know it's cool. It always looks cool. Yeah. And I think a good example of that is it coming to an event like this, given that it's historic, hence how we're dressed. But the crowd here is typically come here for historic racing and things like that. So yesterday we were watching the drifting, and everybody here was watching it, encapsulating, cheering. You know, I guess that must be opening up to a new audience. However, as much as it looks cool, I'm assuming that most of the people there have no idea how it works from a point scoring, who's better, those kind of things. So can you, in a nutshell, talk me, the team and the viewers through how you score points in drift?
Of course, so the track is laid out in a way, normally it's about 4 or 5 corners with what's known as clipping points. So there'll be a marker on the track, either a rear clip or a front clip, and it's your job to basically follow that perfect line set out by the judges. So it's getting deep into all the clips will score good points. Style, speed, and angle as well all helps to get that perfect 100-point score, which is very hard to achieve.
Right, okay.
That then ranks you after your 2 runs, and they've filtered anyone below 32, sorry, you're going home. So the highest qualifier will do the lead run, and that is that you start together, you have a little chicane so that you can't jump the start, and then the aim for the lead car is to basically do the perfect qualifying line, and that scores him points, and then that allows the chase car to tuck in and basically get as close as possible whilst mimicking the same driving style. You then flip it around, the chase car becomes the lead driver, and then you'll do the same thing again, and it's judged by 3 judges, same criteria as qualifying, but you've also got how close you are.
Wow, okay.
And then that then decides a winner. You either get a unanimous win, it could be split panel, and you might go one more time if they can't deem anyone to be a win, if they're just as good. But essentially, it's a judge sport. Sometimes people leave feeling a bit disappointed, and that's the way it is with judge sports, but
Okay, amazing. And if someone was looking to get into drift, this is one of the things we kind of try to ask any racing driver or anyone in the motorsport industry really is, what would I do if I was looking to get into drift? What's the best way of me sort of getting started?
First thing I would do is go try it for yourself. There's quite a few academies around the country, one of which, there's one called RDX Drift Academy. They'll get you out in a 350Z with all the right handbrake, everything all set up. They'll wet the track, and they'll teach you the basics to get you going. If you like it, then you can then talk to them. They'll probably be able to help you buy a car. Maybe buy something like a MX-5, a 350Z, a BMW 3 Series. You can build yourself a simple drift car with, second-hand bucket seat, buy a new hydro, and you could build that for less than, I'd say, £3,000. The cost of these rear-wheel drive cars are now going up all the time. You'd be able to do it cheaper, but I'd say less than £5 grand, you'd get yourself something. You could go to a drift day, learn the basics.
So just in terms of sort of like Demon Tweeks, then you've obviously used us to get some components for your car, and like you mentioned, you know, people could build parts for their car. What's the first thing? So what would be like the first thing you do if you were going to start modifying a car? That's something that we would offer at DT.
Yeah, so definitely the most important thing is bucket seat, a aftermarket steering wheel, and a hydraulic handbrake.
Yeah,
you can definitely buy those from Demon Tweeks. I bought them myself. And then you can weld the diff on the rear of the car. You'd probably put some coilovers on the car. So learn on something that's gonna not destroy tyres. You know, something that like MX-5 or a sub 200 horsepower car, you could do a drift day on a pair of tyres probably. Whereas you know, we then do a drift day in this, you're looking at £700 worth of tyres.
Right. Okay.
So the jump can get pretty crazy. So start low, have fun, and then go from there. Really.
Cool. I think that's really interesting. The fact that, you know, you can get into these sports and motorsport as a whole. You know, it's not the barriers that we necessarily come to think that there are. There are parts available at different price levels as well. So you know, you can, just as Axel says, buy a car like an MX-5, get some parts for it from Demon Tweeks, and get back on the track.
Yeah, definitely. And even if you don't go crazy, you could probably use the same car to do a track day, have fun as a drift car, as long as you keep it simple. And drifting can be quite affordable, so to get into it. It's not until you start going crazy power, it then gets really expensive.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much for your time.
No worries.
Really appreciate it. And you know, any of the parts and things we've discussed are available on our website. We'll put some links in the description below. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and we'll see you in the next one.